let's get to it. Our first stop, a steep, winding urban road, much different from what street lugers are used to. Expect the veterans to have an easier time making the adjustments as they narrow the field of 32. Speeds could reach 50 miles per hour. With no engines and no brakes, this is gravity-powered racing at its most extreme. Let's send it out to Jim Davidson, Jack Arute, and Christy Lee.
College Hill has been invaded by a different kind of student, and what was once considered illegal has become legal, and that is street luge, and we have the ultimate challenge for it right now.
And we have the ultimate course as well, 5/8 mile, a lot of dissension to it. First area, the start area. 3 pushes off and you gain speed as you go down the hill to the first problem, and that's the 90-degree turn. They call it the Big Red Monster because it's a red house right on the corner. Then you catch your breath if you're piloting one of these luges, and you get ready for switchbacks that we're calling the double whammy. Because if you don't hit the cobblestone crosswalks properly, you're going to find yourself in the hay bales. Come around the final corner, and you're right to the finish line.
We're going to get back up top, and we're going to run this course with Lee Dancy as he set the time to beat the only luge pilot to go under the 56-second mark. This was the fastest qualifying time set by any of them.
Dancy likes to take a classic road racing line. If he was running a Formula car or an Indy car, he would be running this course perfectly. At least that's the way he's done so far in practice. Stays out wide and sets himself up properly for a perfect apex into the 90. Let's see if he does it this time. Just hits it perfectly.
Doing a great job, course management. He paid for the course, using all of it to his benefit.
Took a little bit of hay, but now the next key is going to be how much speed he can carry into the S's. He'll try and slide the sled out. He does.
Lee Dancy just tearing it up right now. That long hair of his trademark, flowing in the background as he comes down towards the finish line. And Lee Dancy flying as he sets the fastest time in the qualifying round. I think Lee Dancy knew it too. He's pumped up about that one as he waves for the crowd. Lee Dancy is amped, as they would say.
Well, Lee, it was very fluid and very, very fast.
It was. Felt good. Hit a couple hay bales at the top. Got those wide to tight lines I got, and I get in right next to those bales. That's what it's about.
2 seconds off your best time.
Yeah, well, the best time yesterday was 58. I knocked it down to 57 today, and then I just took 2 off. I'm at 55 now. I think I could probably make another 1 or 2 off there easy. 1 or 2 maybe. I think we get down to maybe low 50s.
That's an awfully big statement to lay down to the competition.
It's what it's about, baby. You come out to play with the big boys, you better be bringing some equipment out.
Good luck to you.
Thank you.
Lee Dancy was not alone when it came to speed. Gerhard Lantz had plenty of speed of his own in this, his fastest qualifying run.
Gerhard likes to get down low in the sled, utilize the aerodynamic advantage of the wind slipstreaming up above the helmet and across the number plate. A minimal amount of movement because you need to get as much speed as you possibly can in this first downhill to set up and carry it into the Red Monster, the 90.
Well, I think the Germans have come here and shown that upper body strength they have has helped out a lot in their starts.
Braking nicely, carried the speed through the corner, back into the tuck.
And he too was wide there, Jack, as he got out near the hay bales right after the 90.
The next critical area, where do you begin to brake? He does it nicely, gets through the double whammy. Now he needs to get into the tuck quickly. He does.
And Gerhard Lantz showing his flexibility as he was almost diagonal with his board with his hips still on the luge. A great run for Gerhard Lantz as he finished in a time of 56.168 seconds, 1.41 hundredths right behind Lee Dancy. A great job. This course has been challenging, though, and let's get together with Bob Pereira as we show everybody what happened back on June 4th when we came to try out the course, and Bob Pereira took it hard. As you can see, just racked his heel here.
No hay bales, and that's what happened. He tried to stop, and then he came into Providence Airport a couple of days ago with crutches and in a wheelchair.
And let everybody know that he had a broken heel.
Now he's checking out the course, and he's getting set. This was a couple of days earlier, but this is most important time for Bob Pereira. It's a qualifying run, and it will determine who he will race against head-to-head in the dual competition.
Big difference, of course, for Bob is that we got the hay bales out there now. I'm sure that takes a little bit of the pressure off inside. But again, the ghost, and he'll be the first one to say it, the ghost of the turns really haunts him.
Every time he comes down through the intersection, he gets to stare out at the big red house that is on the corner of the 90-degree turn. He's the man that coined it, the big red monster. He picks up the sight line now. He sees the house. He sees the corner. Time to turn in.
Great job by Bob Pereira as he's making his way down now on Waterman Street. He's going to set up for the S-turns, get into Benefit, and then Thomas in the home stretch.
Didn't take a real wide corner into the 90. Let's see what he does in the S's. He just tags the whoop-de-doos. He gets through that double whammy in fine fashion. Now, get down low. He lays his head all the way back, lower than the signboard. He's on it.
Bob Pereira doing a great job as he just laid back and finished with a time of 58.686. Bob Pereira's got to be happy with that.
Bob, you show an awful lot of respect for that first 90-degree hairpin.
Was I too slow through there?
Looked like you were, but you tend to go to the right-hand side of the manhole cover.
Yeah, that's why I like it there. It's easy to turn there, and I know right there I'm not going to get in trouble. If I slide there, at least I have time to wipe out in a straight line, not go into the hay.
And yet you carry a lot of speed through the S's. You tend to sling the sled there.
Yeah, that's a good place to slide it, and you can carry a lot of speed there, so you can keep the brakes down there and try to make up for what I lose up top, 'cause I'm scared to death up there right now. So
Pressure, though, now on you. It's head-to-head competition from here on in.
that's cool. Qualifying's over. I'm done. It's time to rock and roll here. Thanks, Jack.
It is time to rock and roll, and here at College Hill, fear is not even an option.
Coming up on the extreme game, at the inline vertical, aggressively artful Arlo Eisenberg will amaze you. And at the Echo Challenge, extremes nomads of the forest battle the elements and the clock.
Yesterday, Chris and I witnessed the spirit of street luge. It was a big-time crash. The pilots got up and hugged each other. One of those pilots was Lee Danzy, a 28-year-old hardcore gravity racer who holds the world record, 73 miles per hour, set back in 1988. Danzy's motto, as long as you don't hit anything, you're usually all right.
I really don't put too much thought into the aspect of is it crazy or not. I think about just going and doing it. I've got to do it. I have a need for it. I enjoy laying down, I guess. I don't know if it's the speed or if I just enjoy, I'm lazy and I like to lay down. Luging is #1 for me, and it is basically my life, but it doesn't pay the bills at this point, and I need a job to pay the bills at this point. Don't quit your day job. So I came to work 2 years ago at Cashmere Molding, and basically with no plastic knowledge at all. Before I came to work here, plastics were just plastic. What I really learned a lot about was thermostability with the plastics. That a lot of the time we get what we call a meltdown. We have problems with our wheels that blow up from the inside out. And so I've learned a little about what different kinds of materials we can use for our wheels. Are you ready? Working's helped me be more consistent. It's helped me by getting up in the morning and not sleeping until 12 o'clock.
Yeah, I used to be lazy and shiftless. He's changed a lot, actually.
I guess I got more drive, more hunger. I have gotten a little bit more spark in my ass, I guess, over the last 2 years.
He's become more of a person because he's gone from just working in the shop, you know, to start out and learn to managing the shop.
The growth as a whole person has been a lot, and it's been impressive to witness.
It's kind of a pain in the butt getting up at 7 o'clock every morning, but, you know, it's got to be done, and, you know, you got to do it, and, you know, if you don't, then
you just become a lazy bum and don't do anything, and don't get any bills, and don't put any food on the table, and then you starve, and then you don't get to luge, and then you have no fun.
No doubt, Danzy is one of the favorites here at the Extreme Games, and he had one of the best times, or the best time in qualifying. Let's check in and see how he fared as the field continues to be narrowed down. Here's Jim Davidson, Jack Arute, and Christy Lee.
Ralph Kohler of Germany coming at you in all the beautiful colors with kind of the golf ball helmet, and he's got snow goggles on almost, ski goggles. He's a pro snowboarder. And then Paul Corbett of Louisville, Kentucky, the other competitor.
Both of them well over 6 feet tall. You can see as they were side by side right off the start that they look identical if it wasn't for the different uniforms. Kohler able to get the lead as he's down inside. He's not going to be able to swing wide. Corbett's up wide. Ralph Kohler steps up. Corbett's right in behind him with a 90.
Now Kohler used that braking movement to gain the advantage as they came through the 90. Very seldom when you see a pass like that. Two Americans.
Kohler now has a sizable lead. Corbett trying to play catch-up. Paul Corbett barely able to get out of the way. He scrambled at the last minute. Paul Corbett's going to take this victory. That was close, Jack.
How many times do you see that in motor racing? First time that I've seen it in luge racing. Real heads-up move by Paul Corbett. Let's take a look at the pass.
Up at the 90-degree
in the first turn. Just on the inside, made the move, outbraked him basically to get in there. Now watch this, as he just plain loses it. Actually, he was only on one side, and look at this. Lift your legs, don't use the braking, drive through it. Look for the scene of the accident, and go right through it.
Our stoked racers come from southern United States. John Fry, 17 in all black. Richard Bagur, he's on 420, both racing rails. And Richard is from North Carolina, from the hills. They get off cleanly in the start as they head towards the 90-degree turn.
Bagur, he's top seed in our fourth bracket. Again, another one who really seemed to come out of nowhere last year, not even in the point standings for the rail. He's up against John Fry. John Fry doing his best to get out in front.
30 years ago, if you were from North Carolina, you might be running rum through the hills. But now, if you're in the Generation X, you like to ride a sled.
John Fry doing a good job. Richard Bagur trying to pull himself in close enough to get some of that sail weight and try to pull him in slingshot past him. They're going to head down into the S-turns.
Fry making a big braking maneuver there, trying to scrub off speed. He's out of shape again to back in, but he's going to lose the advantage coming out of the corner. Nice move on the inside.
Great job by Richard Bagur. He took the inside away, and John Fry had to pull out. And Richard Bagur is going to get the come from behind victory, and he won it on the last turn.
Let's take a look at the pass, because it was one of those classic moves. Fry is on the nice line, gets up to find his bearings, and look, on the inside, going in deeper, deeper, deeper. And Bagur makes the move and strikes.
Michael Shannon, the racer you're looking at from Black Mountain, North Carolina. Michael has been totally focused for the last few minutes getting ready to drop this hill. He is totally concentrated on the run. His opponent will be John Lewis from the Seattle, Washington area, a 34-year-old. He'll be in the black leathers with some purple highlights there. They are both on rail-type sleds, if you can use that explanation for you. And they are ready to push. They're going to pull. They're going to push with their hands 3 times. And they are off.
They're coming down. 20, move
well, we could build this one
out.
as the East Coast versus the West Coast if we really wanted to.
Coming down. They're 17.
You can actually see the camera on the top of the helmet there. And he'll follow Lewis as they head towards the 90. It's a downhill grade. You begin to pick up speed, and then you have to find a focus point to make the turn. We're on board with Michael Shannon. You see the red building there. They call it the Red Monster. Nice ride through by Shannon.
And you can see right there in his sights, John Lewis has opened up a sizable lead. It goes to show you that even though Michael Shannon had the better qualifying time in the inside lane, it doesn't always pay off.
see the separation as they come to the finish line.
John Lewis just with a great stand-up stop. Woo-hoo! Michael Shannon, that's about as close as they got all race.
All right, let's take a look and see if we can find what actually happened to Michael Shannon. You see he's leaning, he's got this sled in a drift. It's light though in the back. He can't gather it back in, he just clips the hay bale. One of the problems is when you take a look, and you look at this now, he's almost going to pick off the winner because the winner's so stoked he doesn't even look to see who's coming down the hill.
Straight ahead, watch out, white water. How will our 12 Echo Challenge teams handle it? Find out next. Street Luge making its official debut as an actual competition. Not only are the folks in Providence getting their first taste of it, but folks internationally are seeing it for the first time.
We saw a few pilots taste some hay, I should say, bales of hay. Hail's what we've got up here. But it's time to get serious now. It's a double elimination format, so the pressure's on a little bit. You lose one of these heats, you got to fight your way all the way back to the loser's bracket. It really makes it tough. Let's go back now for some more coverage. Jim, Jack, and Christy standing by on College Hill.
There you see our next competitors. Roger Rogers, 22, with a very cool helmet. Check that out. He's got red-tailed hawks on his helmet. He's very much a fan of red-tailed hawks. And then right to his left, Tab Nitchie of Somer, California. He'll be wearing the helmet cam. And, of course, Tab getting a little bit of a better start there.
Interesting to watch Tab during all the practice rounds. He was running up to the table, constantly wanting to see his replays, wanting to know how fast he was moving, what could he do to make his luge any better.
And Roger, he was concerned about braking before he came here, so he developed a special shoe. He wanted to be able to turn properly and brake properly, so he used baseball spikes and ground the spikes off.
He's swinging with the board. You saw his POV as he went right into the hay bales. That just opened things wide up for Roger Rogers. He's moving on now. He knows that he's got this, but he can take it easy and put the brakes on as he gets down towards the last turns.
He almost brought it out to the hay bales, but was able to gather it back in by shifting his weight. His shoulders right off the rear end of the sled.
It looked as though earlier Tab Nitchie had really lost his concentration. He was swatting his arm back and forth, either telling people to get out of the way or just getting some bugs out of his face. Couldn't tell what he was doing. But Roger Rogers takes over as Tab Nitchie lost it in the 90 degree.
Pilots will always tell you they need to be in the zone. As we look from the outside, it was obvious that Tab was not in the zone. He had lost the apex, never really found it, and therefore found his way. We're watching the angle. See, he's way too low. He's actually early apex the corner, and it came and bit him.
And the tail end of Roger Rogers' luge actually tapped him on the backside.
Watch this on board. Thank goodness it's not concrete like in race cars.
Thank you very much.
Great job by Roger Rogers. He carries his luge back to the pits.
Our next matchup from Germany, Stefan Wagner. Stefan has a very interesting racing style. You want to watch him closely. Easily identifiable in the black, purple, and yellow against Chris Patterson of Brunswick, Ohio. Chris is in blue and white. They're both on rails. Check it out.
Stefan Wagner and the rest of the German contingent have certainly surprised a lot of the Americans that are here. They've placed real well in our qualifiers, and we'll see how he can do now as they go duel. Stefan Wagner up against Chris Patterson, and they're set up side by side right now. Jack, as they're coming out towards the 90.
Wagner on the inside. Now you see he will stand up to try and provide some braking action. That's the European technique that we've seen all the Europeans utilize here on College Hill.
They were lucky the two of us didn't have any kind of contact on that first turn because they got awfully close. Now they're down into the chicanes.
Watch Wagner. He will sit up, use the brakes. Threw it nicely. Patterson lost a lot of speed. This one will go to Wagner.
Keep in mind that these are double elimination competitions, so Stefan Wagner will move on, and Chris Patterson now will drop down into the loser's bracket.
Let's go back to the first turn. side by side. Patterson has the advantage, but Wagner taking the shorter route through, and they almost touched. But Wagner managed to get back down on the sled and continued on victorious.
Very interesting matchup here. Lee Danzy from Washington, Stefan Wagner of Germany, two very different styles. Lee did not get a good start.
And it's important for Lee to try and get out in front because it is the difference in styles that may create the problems for him.
Jim, the Europeans like to sit up in the sled, especially entering into the 90-degree turn, and that could affect Danzy's visibility because he lays down.
Well, Stefan Wagner certainly powered out of there. We talked about how strong they are. Stefan Wagner really just worked his way out of the start.
Let's go back up quickly and look at the start. The gun was not utilized. Danzy hesitates, and then 1, 2, 3, and he's already lost 2 sled lengths.
Well, we're on board with Stefan Wagner, and he has got his race well ahead. The chicane's the only problem left.
Just hits it perfectly. This is going to be an upset, you can see. It's a problem with Danzy. Lee Danzy also straight up on the sled.
Yeah, Lee Danzy is hurt right now, too. Lee Danzy is holding his left arm up. Stefan Wagner extremely excited. That is an upset. Stefan Wagner got there by route of putting Chris Patterson in loser's bracket, but Lee Danzy obviously in pain. Stefan Wagner over there to find out what's wrong, and the start was brutal. Lee Danzy told us about it.
Let's take a look at the start here, Lee. It looked as if maybe there was a miscue.
Yeah, that's basically what it was. See, I get ready and I jumped, and then boom, he just jumped me. I just got a bad push. I tried to come out too early, and I pulled and I started to go off, and you know, I hesitated because I thought I was jumping the gun. I hesitated, and he just got a good pull, and you know, give the guy some credit. He's a good rider, you know.
Now, what about the injury? It looks as if you've injured your wrist there.
It's my knuckle. I slammed a hay bale coming around one of the corners and took a shot in the knuckle, but I'll be all right. It's kind of disappointing when you get a run like that, you know.
But you get to go to the loser's bracket. Can you come back up through the ladder?
That's a tough call, baby. That's got a lot of you know, a lot of people to go. I mean, you got to do twice the amount of racing. When you get to the final, you got to beat the fastest guy twice. You know, it's gonna be hard, but you know, hey, give the guy a hand. I mean, the guy did a good job.
Coming up, 2 guys did a good job in battle for the first ever championship of the Extreme Game. Susie and our guest in the Bat Cave coming up. But first up, the pilots of Street Luge. These are gravity racers who face challenges their brothers on ice luge don't deal with. 90-degree turns, cobblestone crosswalks, manhole covers, and also another sled racing alongside. The sport's pioneer, Bob Pereira, is still limping from a crash 3 weeks ago. He was advised by doctors not to race. He's decided, however, to go for it. Pereira and his American buddies are trying to hold off the German invasion. Guys very new to the sport, but making an impact up in Providence. Jim Davidson, Jack Arute, and Christy Lee call the races from College Hill.
College Hill has offered our field of international pilots everything they imagined it ever would do. We've shut down the streets here at the Rhode Island School of Design, and we've done so for good reason.
And it tests each and every one of the pilots. Out of the starting lanes, you begin to draft, look for the position and the advantage, getting set up downhill for the first 90-degree turn. Then a short straightaway, build up speed for the double whammy, a series of switchbacks. An uphill section, final turn, down to the finish line.
Our next competitor is Lee Danzy from Redmond, Washington. Lee was a crash test dummy earlier in practice and is suffering from a hip pointer, so he's not exactly 100%. He's racing against Chris Patterson from Brunswick, Ohio, as they head towards that very important 90-degree.
Jack, Lee Danzy right now is trailing Chris Patterson, and every time we've seen him down here, he has been hurt. Some other part of his body has just been sore.
Danzy attempted to grab a draft off of Patterson, but he wasn't able to pull it off at that point. Danzy again, just snake bit in this competition, unable to negotiate the corner. He was complaining the wheels have been lifting in practice. He changed wheels for this elimination bout. It didn't seem to hit the numbers properly. Now we're on board with Chris Patterson.
Chris Patterson now has this one wrapped up as he's ready to make that final turn and come down across the finish line. He He's in the loser's bracket via a loss to Stefan Wagner, who's in control of bracket 1. But now Chris Patterson has just put Lee Dancy out of the competition, and he's moving on to face Ed Bryant.
First upset of the competition. Now watch Dancy. Now remember, he's racing wounded. He has a hip pointer, which will affect him when he's trying to turn. He is literally off the sled as he began to negotiate the corner. You can see he starts to slide off. Same crash, has no control, and he just wraps the hay bale, and he is out.
Well, Lee Dancy was nursing that left hand, his right hip. He had hurt his calf in practice. Just about every part of his body has got a black and blue mark on it. Lee Dancy able to finish, and as you can tell, hunched over somewhat. The helmet's off. He knows that this competition, at least the dual competition, is done for him.
The disappointment is obvious, but how bad were the injuries?
I can't ride. My hip's messed up. It's hard for me to swing off. I'm swinging off too hard. It's hard to swing with this hip. It
looked like it really affected you before the crash in the 90 when you tried to negotiate the corner and start the braking and the transfer of the weight.
Yeah, it was... I don't know. It just hurts. It's hard to explain, you know. Some days you're not on, man. It's a timing thing. You got to be on top of your game. The sport is, you know, you got to make your calculations at the right time. If you don't, you get hurt. And I've been hurt, so, you know. I'm all right, though. You know, there's going to be more events. We'll come back. You know, we'll see. I'm just happy to be out here and have some fun.
Boy, hold on to your seats here, kids. Alex Schroeder and Gerhard Lanz, two of the fastest competitors in the field. Gerhard Lanz from Austria, and he's wearing the Lycra suit over his leathers. Alex Schroeder from Monrovia, California. He's in the black and yellow helmet, and Alex is so pumped this morning.
Alex Schroeder with a great start. It looked as though Gerhard Lanz is powered out of the starting blocks, but Alex Schroeder is out in front as they're working their way down. They'll go across the first intersection as they're coming down Prospect Street, and they got to make that 90-degree turn on the Walkerman.
You can see that Lanz was looking for a place to set Schroeder up as they come to the 90. Now, Schroeder in the past liked to late apex, and he does it again. You see, he tries to square the split up, not be as fluid in the corner.
Gerhard Lanz didn't even hit the brakes, and he has closed the gap on Alex Schroeder, taking the outside line right now.
Now the draft comes into play. Lanz is going to have to use the draft to get on the inside as they set up for the end.
Gerhard Lanz dropping down low as Alex Schroeder is wide. They're touching each other coming down. Alex Schroeder cut him off into the lead. They both go into the lead. Alex Schroeder and Gerhard Lanz both went into each other, and Schroeder is scrambling over to get onto his Luge right now so he can come down and finish. Gerhard Lanz is going to stand up and come across. Alex Schroeder is the first one across the finish line, with Gerhard Lanz just skateboarding down across. We'll have to wait for the official ruling on this call.
Let's go back and look at the crash. Here's a classic example of one of the problems. You don't have a lot of visibility because you're listening for the chatter of the wheels. Schroeder didn't hear it, started to move to the hay bales to get a better line to miss some of the turtles, some of the manhole covers, and he collects Gerhard Lanz.
Jack, from where we were sitting right here, it appeared to me that Alex Schroeder actually caught him out of his peripheral vision and tried to cut him off, tried to create a little bit of that contact.
Well, Alex Schroeder, you were involved in a disqualification with Gerhard Lanz. You were in the lead. Let's take a look at it on a replay and tell us exactly what happens here.
Okay, I'm coming into the corner first. I have no idea he's there. You can see he's behind my point of view. I cannot see him. And the rule has been, if a rider has a board length on you, you have to give them the right of way. I was going through that corner. I took my line. He clipped me. Now, he should have broke. We have established rules, and he should have followed the rules and broke there, in my opinion. And I got disqualified for closing him out. I had no idea he was there. I took my line. We crashed. I made sure he was okay. I got back up past the finish line, but yet I've been disqualified. I really don't understand what happened. According to our rules, I was perfectly legit. I don't know if the line judge has been completely covered on the rules, but it was a real upset for me. But I've been having a good time. I really enjoyed coming here and being a part of this, and maybe next time I'll do a little better.
Alex Schroeder showing us that he is a class act, and the man who beat Alex Schroeder, Gerhard Lanz, will now face this man who's working on his luge. That's Bob Pereira, and Bob Pereira has been just on a hot streak lately. He's got it dialed in on this course, and Lanz and Pereira will be a great matchup.
Still to come on the Extreme Games. The Artful Dodger dances at the inline street competition. Just how aggressive can Arlo be? Then, at the Sky Surf, up, up, and away, surfing the clouds like free birds at play. Plus, Ron Scarpa and Justin Sears do the jump in bare feet. It's sink or swim for these barefoot boys. Stay with us.
Simply stated, Bob Pereira is the heart and soul of a sport powered by the mind. His goal for the past 11 years, to bring structure and order to what had always been considered an outlaw sport. Bob Pereira is street luge. He's helped develop equipment, improve safety, and deliver it to a national spotlight. But imagine coming this far and then missing out on a chance to compete. It almost happened. But remember, this is a sport driven by individual spirit. Pereira's is stronger than most. The issue began, ironically, when Bob Pereira volunteered to test the street luge course for ESPN and the Extreme Games. A problem arose, but it wasn't the course.
I can't figure out how I got up on the curb. And I was just laying here, and then I said, well, how did I get up here?
A freak accident fractured a bone in Pereira's left heel. Not his breaking heel, but a body part vulnerable enough to create a dilemma. Pereira arrived in Newport claiming he should race. But how much could his injured heel endanger Pereira, nearby spectators, and fellow lugers, with whom he would race in groups of 2 and 4?
I just want to know from somebody soon that I can compete. And I wasn't aware that it was going to be brought to an issue that I wouldn't be able to compete. So, but as far as that goes, they can only take my word for the fact that I feel good. If they can't accept that, then tough. What can I say?
But Extreme Games Executive Director Jack Weiner didn't accept it without insisting first that the game's head physician clear Pereira to race.
And we're really concerned about getting out there and with the velocity and force that you might have either putting that down on the ground or bracing yourself from impact. That might be enough to separate the fracture fragments, and then you're going to need an operation, and you probably end up with arthritis. So, well, I have enough of that in my body, so I know that's not the point, but I think I'm just stuck between a rock and a hard spot here. It seems that it's my foot, it's my leg. If I'm going to destroy it, so be it. But just give me a clear, concise, direct answer on this. Well, I think from a medical standpoint, it's not advisable to compete, at least not for another 3 weeks.
After a brief conference, Weiner told Pereira to take one practice run on the fully finished course with spectators looking on. Pereira did. He took it easy up top on the fateful turn where he had broken the heel. But towards the bottom, his emotions took over. Pereira thrilled the thousands of spectators by negotiating the difficult S-turn with the smoothest moves of the day. A compromise was forged.
The following decision is made that Bob Pereira is going to participate in the dual street luging event, but he's going to stay out of the mass, which is 4 people on a course at a time.
You know, as a compromise, I shook the man's hand on it, you know, and we made a deal. You know, I race, I go home happy. At least I could do that. He's happy because I'm happy, and I'm happy because this event's going down the right way so far. So let's just get it on.
Well, before Bob Pereira can get it on, he's got to get it off the truck, that is, as they towed him back up onto the hill. He's setting up and still remains as the only undefeated racer in Division 2.
Well, the Germans have definitely made their mark in this competition, and Stefan Wagner was up here early this morning at the start line, checking it out, looking at it, thinking about it, as he gets out first out of the gate up against Chris Patterson from Brunswick, Ohio.
Chris Patterson is coming out of the losers bracket now up against an undefeated Stefan Wagner. So if he's going to knock him out, he is going to have to beat him twice in the head-to-head competition.
We're watching a classic street luge draft taking place as you get ready to go into the 90-degree turn. Stay in a tuck. Use the brakes. Try and follow the forward rider through. Not lose too much time.
Chris Patterson's POV, you can tell that he's dropped back. Stefan Wagner opening up a sizable lead now as they go down towards the chicane.
Wagner holds on. much speed down through the double whammies.
Stefan Wagner gets low and he gets aerodynamic and takes the victory. Chris Patterson made a good effort, but he would have had to beat him twice. Stefan Wagner, he's moving on.
A great rock and rolling match here. We got Sean Goulart from Stockton, California. Roger Rogers, another Northern California guy. Sean Goulart gets out good in the gates. He's been practicing a lot this morning.
Sean Goulart with the powerful start, and Roger Rogers dumps right in back behind him. This is the battle of the 30-year-old versus the 36-year-old.
And Roger Rogers is a student of auto racing and says that he tries to utilize the draft and a late braking maneuver to negotiate the 90. We'll see how well he does because he's in second right now.
He's been involved for 17 years, and I'm sure 17 years ago.
There you can see it squared up the corner. It squared up the corner, and that caused him some problems because it scrubbed off a little bit of speed. The advantage right now belongs to Goulart.
And Sean Goulart has been dominating this division. Sean Goulart, of course, is undefeated. He had the third fastest qualifying time, and Roger Rogers is trying to catch him. Not going to do so unless Sean Goulart makes a mistake coming down the home stretch here.
Goulart is in a tough. He's real tight as he comes down. He'll carry this one home.
Sean Goulart does a good job as he puts away Roger Rogers. And Sean Goulart is the winner of Division 3. He's moving on to the semis.
Well, I tell you, John Lewis, the rail number 24, has really come out of nowhere. This is his first professional competition. He is racing against Marcus Riedema. He said earlier today he wanted to come basically out of nowhere and show these guys he knows how to race.
If you look at Riedema's sled, you can see that he's created an under tray beneath the wheels. Now, these sleds are inherently what we call nose happy. They tend to be very heavy on the nose, directly behind the knees of each of the pilots. This makes a tremendous bump. There's going to be a tight cornering maneuver here. Riedema likes the inside brakes.
Unable to do that inside.
John Lewis doing a great job of staying out front. Riedema in the all-white trying to track it down now.
Now Riedema just has to try and figure out if he can gain an advantage somewhere in the exit. Riedema pulls out. He's going to try and make an arcing move around to the final stretch. Get in it tight.
Riedema coming on at the end with John Lewis, who has shocked everybody in bracket number 4, has gone on as the victor of this, and he now will be in the semis.
Could be one of the most intense races of the competition. Bob Pereira from Northridge, California, the godfather of this sport, against Gerhard Lanz. Gerhard doesn't do anything but race hard, race fast, and they're going towards the big monster.
Again, Jack, the difference in styles. Bob Pereira drops down low immediately.
This could be very interesting, Chris, because Pereira likes to stay to the right going into the tight right-hander. Meanwhile, Lanz likes to take a little wider arc and brake with his body late. That's real tight racing. They're going to end up side by side as they come down this straight away and try and gain some speed.
Bob Pereira has just maintained control of the first 90 degree by taking the inside line and forcing Wagner wide.
But Lanz is going to go to the high side. Very tight racing coming out of the corner. It's going to be a tight battle.
Bob Pereira, a crowd's favorite here. You can see the folks. They're all pumped up as Bob Pereira. He brought the sport here to Newport. He's made it happen. He is moving on as he wins our bracket 2.
Let's go look at this pass one more time. This is right out of a road racing handbook. Gain the advantage, a little early braking, try and carry as much speed. Now, here's the big one. This is taking the corner away, gives you the advantage at the finish line. You're able to carry more speed out of the corner. That's what Bob Pereira was able to do. It all started back in the final corner when he was able to take the corner speed away from Gerhard Lanz.
That was awesome, dude! That was awesome!
Well, we wanted Bob to take his helmet off, but you're going right back up. But that is the closest street luge finish we've seen.
Really, it was tight, huh? That was great. I knew he was there the whole time. I can't believe those guys go that fast even when they sit up, man. Those guys are incredible.
That last corner, both of you, it looked like you maybe took the turn away, but then there was a lot of speed through the S's. That seemed to be the critical move for you.
Well, I didn't let them into the 90 because I had the right of way, so I kept them out there as long as I could. Took my line and just tried to sail away.
But then down to the S's, that's where it got dicey.
He got caught up there. I'm sure he drafted me a bit there. He's a good man, this guy right here.
That is one of the best finishes we've seen, Gerhard. It's a tough one to lose to him, but it looked like it was going to go right down to the finish line, and it did.
You know, I had to break because we had rules, so I had to break. I can't go on, so that's the reason why I lost. That's it. That's easy. It's rules. The rules are made from these guys. We accept the rules, but I think it was the best race.
That was very good, huh? Thank you very much. He's a good competitor, these guys, man. Happy to have him here. Thank you, Jack.
Our 4 finalists in the dual luge downhill: Stefan Wagner from Germany, Sean Goulart from the United States, Bob Pereira also from the USA, and the same with John Lewis.
Okay, guys, coming up to show you helmet cam pictures from a very different vantage point. Finally, the sky surfing competition begins. That's coming up. A lot of the street luge pilots may look like gnarly bikers. They have the hair going, wearing the full leathers, but they generally have soft hearts. Sharing technology is part of the sport. Of course, today, Bob Pereira may have regretted sharing the specs for his sled with guys who are pushing him to the limit now.
That's right. Pereira, fractured foot and all, pulled out an incredibly close race to make it to the semis. From 31, they're down to 4. Let's kick it back out to Jim, Jack, and Christy.
This semifinal match features John Lewis from the Seattle, Washington area. Haven't heard much from John throughout this competition, except for he's gone very fast and he's winning. Bob Pereira, the showboater in the sport, one of the founders. You've seen him all over the Extreme Games. Can John Lewis come from out of nowhere and beat Pereira to the finish line? We're getting ready to start these guys.
Coming down any minute, do not let them cross. Racers, ready, set, go!
And they're pushing on the apron. Very close start. They're side by side going down towards the 90-degree, guys.
When Pereira got into the tuck quicker, he has the inside advantage. That's where he likes to be, especially in the 90, because he cuts it very tight.
And there you can see how low Bob Pereira actually gets to the ground. Most of these sleds are just about an inch and a half off the ground, but Bob Pereira doesn't go much higher than that.
The incline increases, so does the speed, and Pereira gets about a half a sled length. Tries a little
through the 90-degree. John Lewis doing a good job of hanging tight. Bob Pereira probably the most recognizable luger in this sport. John Lewis comes from out of nowhere. He shocked everybody in Division 4 to be in the finals here against Bob Pereira.
Pereira was having wheel problems in early practice. He changed wheels, and it seems to have come to his advantage when it counts.
They rattle across the brick crosswalks, and Bob Pereira is well out front. He's got the number 1 up. He knows he's taking this race. Bob Pereira, a great job, and John Lewis, well, he had a very respectable showing.
And yet the victory came all the way back in the corner in what we call the Big Red Monster. Now look how tight Pereira is. We alluded to it in some of the early sessions that he may have found what we call squaring up the corner to be more advantageous than the more usual auto racing type flowing, arcing line through a corner. Pereira may have rewritten the book here.
And for this event, we get to see Bob Pereira's trademark limp. Again, that left heel, obviously for 60 seconds, he's able to shut out the pain, whatever it takes to get the victory.
Sean Goulart, this is your semifinal run against Stefan Wagner from Germany. Strategy here?
Let the Americans win. I want to win badly.
Okay, in the next race you could possibly face your good buddy Bob Pereira.
That's right. That'd be a hell of a race. We've never been in the finals together, and it'd be great.
How would you beat Bob?
Well, I'd like to get out front first. If I can, I'll follow his line and draft him to the bottom and pass him at the bottom.
How important is the start here?
Huge, especially with the Germans. Germans are really strong, good athletes, really good starters.
All right, thank you, Sean. Good luck.
It sounds like Sean Goulart has a clue as to what he's going to do against Bob Pereira, but for now, it's time for the rest of us to get a clue.
Miller Lite Ice presents Get a Clue, the Extreme Games Glossary. Scrambled eggs. It means the road is rough, but you can make it through. Road rash. It's the scrapes and burns left on your body after the fall. And safe flowing like water when you're in the groove, in tune with gravity and feeling every turn. Amped. It's how the speed of Luge makes you feel.
Speed!
Now, you've got a clue.
Getting set to drop College Hill in the semifinal round, the German Stefan Wagner. Stefan just moments ago told me that he has to get an explosive start out of these gates. The competitor, Sean Goulart from California. Sean has been quick through this whole competition. Sean also mentioned the importance of the start. We are getting ready to see that start. The starter giving the signal.
Racers, ready, set, go!
A full 3 pushes, very close out of the gates. As they head towards that very important 90-degree Big Red Monster.
Goulart is not at all concerned about having to trail Wagner into the 90-degree turn if necessary, because he is a real student of the luge draft. Likes to tuck in, but they're side by side. They begin to pick up speed, getting ready for the 90. This could be really hairy going into the corner, because you can have your sight line taken away by the German.
Stefan Wagner taking the inside side.
Sean Goulart has a problem. Stefan Wagner knows that he's pumping his arm. Sean Goulart went into the hay right at the top of the 90-degree turn.
For Wagner now, it's just hold on, not make any mistakes, and he will advance to the final. For Goulart, it was a calculated move at the top of the hill that was costing.
Both of these pilots came in undefeated. All 4 finalists are undefeated, and Stefan Wagner will remain that way. He's pumped up. He's moving on into the finals. It'll be either against Bob Pereira or John Lewis, who are up next. Sean Goulart is only left to compete for 3rd place.
Let's go back and take a look at the crash. Now, they're side by side. At this point, one of the pilots should have started his braking maneuver. See the late braking by the German? It takes the line away from Goulart. Goulart has nowhere to go but into the hay bales. One more time. There it is. Hugging the inside of the corner. The German takes the advantage, and let's check topside at the top of the hill to start line with Christy Lee.
Well, I tell you, Sean Goulart was not happy when he sat down to take the start. He was not in the top seed lane, but it's not a top seed lane. He found out that they were going by brackets who got lane number 2. He wanted that inside position from the start. Very critical, and I think as important as this sport is mentally, that may have really affected Sean Goulart.
Sean Goulart was hoping that he'd meet his friend Bob Pereira in the finals, but he won't. That man will. Stefan Wagner is moving on to meet Bob Pereira.
Still to come, inline shock jock Arlo Eisenberg, expressionist, impressionist, Andy Warhol would be proud.
Boy, you couldn't ask for a better final in this. The Extreme Game Street Luge competition. Bob Pereira of California, and we have Stefan Wagner of Germany. Bob Pereira had lined up on the inside line, and the officials are making him move. Stefan Wagner with a definite advantage here. You can see Bob Pereira was not happy about that. The official is really getting in his face here. Bob Pereira from Northridge, California has spent his life getting to this point. At one point, they didn't even think he'd be able to compete in the Extreme Games due to a broken heel. Stefan Wagner, he's only been on an American board for maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks. This is going to be a great contrast in styles. And that inside lane's so important because I'll tell you what, one of the biggest races in this competition is to that first corner. So here we are, we're set, we're ready to go. Look for Stefan Wagner.
Ready, set, go!
If this were a Hollywood script, we'd have Bob Pereira finishing in 1st place, but I don't think Stefan Wagner has seen too many American movies.
But Pereira has got a dilemma on his hands as he gets ready for the 90, because if he wants to take that he's going to have to try and slipstream ahead of Wagner. He knows.
Great job getting aerodynamic. He's just flying down the hill. Stefan Wagner, the larger of the two, the top has the speed.
He doesn't set the brakes down. He pulled that move up. You see how tight the tuck is. He's trying to gain the momentum again down the short straightaway here that descends into the double whammies. Wagner now has to try and maintain some smoothness. Sit up braking. Final corner.
Bob Pereira is in command as he's coming down here, getting a big hand from the people here in the thumbs up. Bob Pereira has taken this one. Bob Pereira set out to do it, and
Pereira, this entire race was won between the start-finish line and the Big Red Monster. Let's take a look at the pass for the lead. We're on board with Stefan Wagner. Now you see Pereira's in a very, very tight tuck. He's trying to just what they call fade his way into the inside lane. Pereira cheating, trying to gain a little bit of room. Actually took Wagner over one of the turtles, the manhole covers, two of them there, trying to gain the line. And there, he sees it on the Jumbotron at the start-finish line. He knows he's victorious in the first Extreme Game Street Luge. Just like a victory lane, a winning sled rider actually needs a little help getting out of his safety equipment.
I gotta pull something out right here. That brought me here.
There's a story behind that hat. A big fan of Formula One and the Ferraris. Bob Pereira brought this hat all the way from Northridge, California, and said at the start of the competition you were going to wear it in victory lane, and now you get a chance to. But let's talk about that move at the start. This race was won on the short chute before the Big Red Monster, the thing that bit you early in the competition when you were just testing.
Well, it bit me once, never again, man. Can't let that happen twice. It was a stupid mistake.
But great slipstreaming. You were on the outside lane, and you liked the inside lane because you square up the corner, and you just carried the sled over.
I had to drive him away from the corner to give him less room to turn. I saw he was going to be on that side, and I saw we were drafting a little bit, and I was pulling ahead. I heard both of our boards hit the ground. I knew he was behind me at least a half a foot. So I went ahead and just tucked a little while. I almost missed a turn because I couldn't see anything, man. I just touched my brake once, and I went through that corner. It was bitching. I can't believe it.
Pumping your fist to the finish line, you're victorious, but you're the founder of Rail, the organization that sanctions this event. Did you ever in your wildest dreams think that it would play to this type of success?
No, I mean, we all have hopes and dreams for this, and it's come so far. All the people in this organization are the best people in the world. They're my best friends. I love all these people. I want to thank all my sponsors back home, Max Scrap and Z-Roller. The Bates Leather people are great. My team, my crew back home in Chatsworth. Rachel here has been great. The members of Rail have been awesome. The Emerald Group, ESPN, ESI, Jackaroot, all you camera people. The Extreme Games, man. This is it. This is badass.
Boy, you've got it right down pat. You could make it into Formula One, but this is Formula One for you.
Number one. Right here. Thank you.
Yeah. Bob Pereira did what many thought he couldn't do. He pulled off the victory, and he wasn't 100%. He came here with a fractured heel and somehow managed to put that all behind him and take the first place position. Stefan Wagner, one of the Germans here to compete, 1 of 5, had a great showing as he went up against Pereira in the finals and took second. Sean Goulard thought he had higher hopes, but third place is good enough for him, and John Lewis was there to round off the top 4. A great dual luge here at College Hill in Providence, Rhode Island.
Give them credit. These gentlemen are used to mountain roads. They adapted to the urban street of College Hill, and we all figured that the veterans would make the adjustments easiest, and it figures Bob Pereira wins.
Congratulations, he becomes our second Extreme Games champion. Got to give the props, though, to the Germans. The surprises, without much practice in these sleds, they're like the German ice lugers. Georg Hackel, the great ice luger. Maybe the Germans have a big future in street luge. We'll talk to our champion, Bob Pereira, right here live when we come back.
Also ahead, we'll have more from the Echo Challenge and the inline street competition. Many cultures coming together here at the Extreme Games. They're all enjoying their first serious showcase. Hope you are too. Stay with us.